I was 6 when I learned that love could be loud. Not the warm kind of loud, laughter echoing through the house, music playing as we danced barefoot on the cold tile. No. The kind that breaks plates against walls, that fills the air with angry voices and words too ugly for a child to understand but painful enough to feel. My parents fought like it was their only way of speaking. Shouting, throwing things, calling each other names that made my little brother, Kobi, cover his ears and whimper. I used to do the same until I realized it didn't stop the words from getting inside me. One night, their fight turned into something worse. I don't even remember what started it. Maybe it was money, maybe it was one of them coming home late. It didn't matter. The anger was the same. I had stood too close, trying to stop them, trying to scream louder than their voices. That's when something, maybe a cup, maybe a plate, flew past and struck me. A sharp pain bloomed on my forehead, warm liquid dripping down my face. Silence. For the first time, they stopped. They looked at me. But it wasn't concern in their eyes. It was guilt, fleeting, momentary guilt. Then the argument shifted. Not about me, but about whose fault it was that I got hurt. As if I were just another broken thing between them. That was the day I stopped believing they would ever love me the way I needed. I withdrew. I stopped trying to talk to them, stopped asking questions. My world became smaller, shrinking until it was just me and Kobi. He was only 4, but even at that age, he knew. Knew that I was the only person who would hold him when he was scared, the only person who cared if he ate or if he cried himself to sleep. I became his protector. But who was mine? Growing up in silence by the time I was 10, I had mastered the art of silence. I had learned to move through the house like a shadow, to avoid the sharp edges of their words. The fights continued, but I had stopped reacting. I told myself that if I didn't feel, it couldn't hurt me. At school, I didn't make friends. What was the point? Friendships required talking, trusting, believing in things I had long stopped believing in. Teachers noticed my quietness, but no one ever asked why. Maybe they thought I was just shy. Maybe they saw the bruises on my emotions but mistook them for personality. At 16, I realized I hated my parents. Not just for what they did, but for what they didn't do. They never tried to change. Never tried to love me in the way that made me feel safe. Never even noticed how much of me had disappeared in the silence. The only thing I feared was losing Kobi. He was the only real thing I had. By the time I was 25, the world had given me a name for what I had become: emotionally detached, avoidant, incapable of forming deep connections. I called it survival. I couldn't love the way others did. Every time someone got close, something inside me recoiled. Relationships felt like a war waiting to happen, and I had already lived through one at home. Why step into another battlefield? But I started noticing something, a quiet exhaustion, a longing I couldn't name. It was like a whisper in my mind, telling me that maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to be this way forever. And that's when the voices started. I will name them this way: the survivor and the healer. The survivor said, "You don't need anyone. You survived alone. Why open yourself up to more pain?" The healer waits in, because this isn't survival anymore, Mira. It's just emptiness. The survivor scoffed. Emptiness is better than betrayal. Better than false love. The healer softened. Not everyone is like your parents. Not everyone will hurt you. The survivor laughed bitterly. That's what you think. But look around. How many times have you pushed people away? How many times have you felt safer in silence? Your heart has been well guarded. Think about it, are you not enjoying the safety that comes with a well-guarded heart? No dramas. No anxiety. I sat still, feeling the weight of their words. Because the survivor was right. I had become an expert at avoiding attachment, at making sure no one could ever leave me by leaving them first. But the healer was there, persistent, refusing to let me drown. The healer whispered, "What if healing is possible? What if love is real, but you just don't know how to let it in?" The survivor sneered, "Love is a lie. And you know it." Stories abound everywhere of this lie. You hear about them every day. You can't deny it. And what's more, you've seen it all. I covered my ears, but the voices weren't outside of me. They were inside, clawing, tearing, pulling me in two directions. And for the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt since childhood: fear. Not of my parents. Not of the world. But of myself. Because if I lost this battle, I wasn't sure if I would ever be whole again. The moment that changed everything. One evening, Kobi asked me a question that shattered my carefully built walls. "Mira, do you ever wonder what life could have been if things were different?" I knew what he meant. If our parents had loved each other. If they had loved us. If our home had been a place of warmth instead of war. I wanted to say no, that I never thought about it. But the truth was, I thought about it every day. That night, for the first time, I cried. Not the silent tears that slipped down my face unnoticed, but the kind that shook my body, that cracked open something I had locked away for years. And in that moment, the voices returned. The survivor whispered, "See, this is why we don't open up. This is why we don't feel. It portrays you as weak." But the healer held firm. "No, Mira. This is why we need to feel. This is the beginning of healing. It shows you are strong." For once, I wanted to believe the healer. For once, I wanted to try. A lesson to parents and society. If you are a parent, and your child watches you fight every day, know this: you are teaching them what love is supposed to look like. And one day, they will either repeat the cycle or run so far from love that they never find their way back. If you are a child in a home like mine, I want you to know this: you are not invisible. You are not unworthy. And you are not your parents' mistakes. And if you are like me, still carrying the wounds of a childhood filled with broken glass and broken words, know this: healing is possible. Even for us. But first, we have to stop being silent.
Lessons from this story. Parents must understand that their toxic behavior damages their children more than they realize. Children in toxic homes carry their scars into adulthood, affecting relationships, confidence, and their entire future. Society should be more aware of the silent suffering of children in abusive homes, offering safe spaces and support systems. Emotional abuse and neglect are as damaging as physical abuse, and the wounds last a lifetime if not healed.
If you did enjoy this video, hit the like button and share. And do subscribe to this channel for more interesting video on inner dialogue.